Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name's JB and today I'm going to be showing you what some alternate costumes could look like for Pyra and Mythra when they finally drop in March in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Now all the designs that you're going to see through this video were edited by myself through Photoshop, and there'll be a link in the description which takes you to Google Drive, which includes the templates that I use to edit these characters, so you can make your own palette swaps and make your own custom designs for what they could look like in Smash Bros. But before we jump into the video, I just need to mention two things. Number one, there will be a spoiler warning in the top left corner of the video with any section that will include any potential spoilers through Xenoblade Chronicles 2. So keep an eye out for it. Secondly, as of the recording of this video, Sakurai has released an image on his Twitter already revealing one of the Mythra alternate costumes, which you should be seeing on screen right about now. I'll be talking more about this costume later on in the video, but one thing to note is that Mythra's sword hasn't changed colour. None of the sword fighters through Smash Bros actually changed their swords with their alternate costumes, and I haven't done the same with my designs. But anyway, let's jump right into the video. Beginning with the obvious default costume will be Pyra and Mythra's standard outfits, with Pyra in the red, Mythra in the white, etc. However, for costume number 2, I decided to base their colour scheme on Rex, their driver. Starting off with the changes on Pyra, the red's been completely replaced for Rex's salvager suit blue, and the black that's normally there has been replaced with a maroon-like colour, in between the sort of brown and red, which has been used to accent all of the colours. This shade has been taken from the minor amounts of what looks like fabric on Rex's salvager suit. However, they were brightened slightly to accent the design better and match her sword a little bit better as well. And the reverse is on Mythra, with the same browny orangey colour being used as the primary colour and the blue being used to accent that colour. It's important to note that most of my designs will include these reverse palette swaps for both Pyra and Mythra, mainly because I think this is what Sakurai is going to do to prevent confusion when you're playing this character, so you don't lose track of whether you're playing Pyra or Mythra at any given moment. I also decided not to change either the gold or the emerald core crystal colour on either of these designs, mainly because Rex has got a lot of gold on himself, as you can see, and I've left the emerald core crystal colour the exact same to reference the little bit of core crystal that Rex has on his own chest. But then the final change between the two palette swaps is their hair, taking Pyra's bright red and Mythra's blonde to this more silvery ashen colour, which you'll see a lot through this video because surprisingly a lot of the party members have got the same hair colour. Moving on to costume number 3, we're referencing the next party member along, Nia. Now we've obviously done the same thing with Rex and taken that primary yellow and white colour scheme, as we can clearly see on Pyra, turning all the red into yellow and all the black into white. And again, the vice versa has been done on Mythra. However, with the yellow going onto the black, it has more turned it into a more deeper, darker, goldy colour. I also this time round decided to change the gold coloration into the brown that we can see on Nia's gloves and what I can only assume are very large shin pads, which darkens down the whole design a little bit and contrasts really nicely to the very bright colours of yellow and white. And then for the icing on the cake, I've changed the standard emerald core crystal colour to the red, which is used on a lot of the stitching on Nia's outfit, for the core crystal colour, which just applies a really nice amount of contrast. And all three of those main colours, red, white and yellow, in my opinion, all look really well together, and when they're all implemented into one design, it looks fantastic. And people that aren't going to want such a significant change in the designs, especially on Mythra, might be quite happy with something like this. It's also important to note that if Nintendo did want to follow up with this design and improve it slightly, just give them cat ears. I think that'd be the best way to please all of us fans. And a quick spoiler warning here, but it's also important to mention that I decided not to use Blade Nia's design, purely for the simple case of both Blade Nia and regular Nia have very similar designs anyway. They're basically just palette swapped, and overall the design wouldn't have changed much at all, but we've avoided a massive spoiler. So this is probably also the way that Sakurai and Smash Bros will take Nia's reference design anyway. And rounding up the main trio of party members, we haven't got Tora, but we're using Poppy instead. Primarily Poppy Alpha. Now, The image that I showed you before, the tweet from Sakurai showing Mythra's alternate costume, was probably in reference to Poppy's other form, Poppy Cutie Pie. So the Mythra design here probably unfortunately won't be making it into Smash. However, we can still hope that Sakurai wants to reference Poppy Alpha with Pyra instead, so there's still hope there potentially. But anyways, jumping into the design. Once again, starting with Pyra. Both of her normal colours have basically been swapped, and we've changed the black into a lighter grey. Now if I was better at Photoshop, I would have also made this look a bit more metallic, but I'm not. And again, the vice versa can be seen on Mythra, with her basically blood red design, the black accents, and then in my opinion, the most eye-catching part about them all, their bright purple hair, which takes this design from being, in my opinion, pretty ordinary and pretty standard for what someone might come up with, to really being really vibrant and being something I really want to see in Smash. I also decided again to change the emerald core crystal colour to the orange to represent those orange lines of what is more than likely ether flowing through Poppy's body, considering that's more than likely what's flowing through Pyra Mythra's body anyway. It's very much a pity that we probably won't get to see Mythra's Poppy design in Smash Bros, or at least the one that I've made, but as long as we get something similar to this, I think I'll be pretty happy. And the designs would have been a hell of a lot better than Tora, which would have basically just been another Nia skin. Seriously, the colour schemes are really similar in a lot of these party members. Moving on to design number 5, we have what is more than likely my favourite design out of all of the ones that I'm going to show you, being in reference to Zeke. Where to start? Well, obviously, black is a primary colour for Zeke, which I've used as the basis of Pyra, and I've darkened the already black that was on Mythra. Then Zeke has that grey, to my eyes, slightly even purpley colour which he uses for his coat, which I've used on the accent colour for Pyra and is the main primary colour on Mythra. Again, silver hair, like seriously, all the party members in this game have silver hair. I've dulled down ever so slightly the emerald core crystal that flows through both the buddies to slightly match the minty green teal colour that Zeke's got a little bit over his outfit on his shoes, etc. But then to top it all off, to quiet everything down, instead of using the gold, which I could have used for the minor amount of gold around his shoulder pads, I've instead gone with the silver, which has made, to me, the whole design isn't loud, it's not shouty, but it just looks phenomenal with this low end colour range of black, silver and grey, along with the contrasting bright, I'm going to call it teal as a colour, that strikes through their entire body. And even Mythra is a little bit more subtle for the overall colour scheme. And I might be missing out on a couple of colour schemes for Poppy, but I hope to God that this makes it into Smash. The only thing that I'd ask, if we wanted to tweak it slightly, is to give them both an eye patch to represent the Eye of Shining Justice. And that leaves the only remaining party member, which is Morag. Now, I didn't really want to use Morag, because even though I love Zeke's design, we don't need two of them, and both overall the colour schemes are very, very similar. So instead, I've decided to go along with her blade, Bridget. Starting from the top, my favourite part about this design, the colour change in their hair. I've used a gradient similar to how it is on Bridget, going from the purple at the roots of their hair, going to the very light blue at the tips of their hair, which it's slightly better shown on Mythra, I think, than Pyra because of the lengths of their hair, but makes them look phenomenal with the sort of vibrancy and the differences that are in the colour. We've obviously changed Pyra's colour scheme into the purple and blue and vice versa on Mythra. And I think out of the two, personally for me, I prefer Mythra's design in this one over Pyra's. The lighter blue, I just think suits Mythra really, really well. And with the accents of the dark purple, the two colours really contrast well. Still works on Pyra, but because the colour scheme overall is a bit darker, it still works, but I don't think it stands out anywhere near as much as it should compared to Mythra. I also decided to leave the gold all exactly the same, normal, because even though there's very little of it, Bridget does have a little bit of gold on her colour design. And I was struggling a little bit with the emerald core crystals, as there was nothing really left on Lady Bridget to use for those accents and those lines. and it didn't quite look right just being the normal emerald. So I decided instead to take a bit off of the driver overall and use the red, similar to the red lines that flow all over Morag's uniform, which I think the red definitely just adds a little bit of contrast and definitely stands out a little bit more alongside the purple and the blues. Overall, a really nice design, but to me, it's just that hair though. Now let's move on to costume number 7. But before we jump into it, huge spoiler warning. If you haven't played up to, I believe it's the end of chapter 7 in Xenoblade Chronicles 2, skip to the timestamp which is shown in the video right now. And if you're not sure where you are and you haven't finished Xenoblade Chronicles 2, just skip to the timestamp just to save yourself. But anyway, let's jump right into it. Costume number 7 is Numa. Now, one obvious difference straight away. This is the only design that I have produced where Mythra doesn't have the reverse outfit to Pyra. I did try it with the black as the primary and the white as the accent. However, I don't think it works, and so I've reverted it back to normal, which contradicts me earlier where people might get confused. But so be it, because this design looks so freaking cool. Going through the obvious changes, Pyra's been changed to white. Mythra was already white, but the white's slightly been changed with the tint that I've used to match Numa more closely. The black has also been lightened slightly, again to closely match the colour of Numa. Obviously, we've got the amazing mint green hair. Pretty sure that's going to be the closest colour to what that actually is, which is a little dark on Pyra and arguably should be lightened up a bit to make it more of a closer match. But overall, I still think it looks really good in its entirety. The emerald core crystal side of it has been brightened again to closely more resemble the overall colour of all those little accents on Numa. And we've replaced the gold with the blue, which you can see a couple of bits just scattered all over Numa's body, primarily by the looks of it to hold her boobs up. But this is a design which, even though it's a huge spoiler, I've got fairly high hopes will actually make it into Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, as even though it can be argued that it's a huge spoiler of the character to come, it's only the design and it's not really spoiling anything else. But the more simple way for them to go would be just to do a Malos design instead, so we can just see which way they go with it. Okay, so that's 7 down. We just need one more design to finish it all off. What should we use? Well, if we look at Shulk has got 7 references, and then he's got his underwear design for his last one. If only Pyra Mythra had something similar that we could just use. I wonder. Oh, I know. They're hooded designs. And before you click off this video, I just need to mention that instead of my usual outro in this video, there's going to be a short tutorial just showing how to alter the colours and bits in the Google Drive documents that I mentioned at the beginning of this video. So make sure you watch that if you want to know just basically exactly how to do it. I would just kindly ask though, anybody who does want to use those templates, if you would be so kind to just consider subscribing at the same time. It helps me out a ton, and that goes for everyone else as well that has enjoyed this video and enjoyed those recolors. But I'll see you all in the next video, and until then, peace. Hey guys, thanks for joining me for this quick tutorial on how to use these Photoshop documents, just in case you're not aware of how to use them, basically change the colors and things on lines of that. So I'm going to show you quickly how to do it, just so you can do it at home yourselves. This is the folder open, this is how it'll open. As you can see, as we make everything visible, there's already a default that's set preset onto them, and they're all listed as hair, red portion, black portion, etc. So depending what portion you want to change, it's just there. Simply open any of the folders and you'll see the masks here in another folder, and down is the colour. It will literally be as easy as opening the colour, selecting something else, let's go for teal in this particular case, click OK, and done. The colour's changed. You've also got levels, which is what we'll use to either make the things white or darker or black, basically. So you might need to use those, and you might not need to. There's also obviously all the extra ones if you're really good at Photoshop. These aren't perfect, so you probably will need to get the colour down in the bottom, go in with the colour replacement tool and just clean up a couple of the edges. This is what I've had to do for all of mine. It's a lot worse on Pyra than it is on Mythra, but yeah, that's pretty much all that there is for it. Get making some awesome designs and tweet them at me at my Twitter, which should be on the screen somewhere down at the bottom right now. Have a great day now, guys.